If you have 15 more years to build your passive income, how will you do it, and can you reach financial freedom in the next 15 years? Let's find out together. So today I will be sharing with you my thoughts and answering a question on Reddit, which I saw how this person wants to see whether he can reach financial independence by the age of 45-ish. Just a bit of context, this person is sharing on Reddit asking, I'm in my 30s and I have around like 200k worth of investment in my portfolio. 200k. I don't even have that much. So firstly, just wanted to congratulate him for taking actions. He invests in like ETFs, into CSPX as well as SSB. So just a disclaimer, this is not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any of the securities that I'll be sharing. It's just my personal thoughts and observations of what are the tools available out there. Right, so if you're interested to find out more, do get yourself educated before buying to them. Anyways, coming back, this person, 200k of investment portfolio, he earns around 3.5k of take-home pay every single month, and out of which he can actually invest 2k per month. And that is a lot, which means also to say that his assumed expenses is around 1.5k. So assuming that 1.5k is his monthly expenses, he's asking, is he on track? He have already set aside emergency funds as well as the insurance coverage, whatever not, right? He also shared below that his salary is considered low, but I think it's average. I think it's not about income, it's more about how you save, how you spend, and that is what truly matters, right? You can earn 10k, but if you spend 9k, your savings is only 1k. But let's say you earn 3.5k, you only spend 1.5k, you are saving and investing 2k, right? So this is much more than the person in the first example. Right, so a good thing about him, from my perspective, is that he doesn't have any dependents, he doesn't have a lot of responsibility, which explains why his monthly expenses is only like 1.5k. How I wish I'm back to that state.
What's the matter with you?
Just joking. Okay, so his goal or his ideal period to build his passive income to reach financial independence, which I will go through a bit. What is this financial independence? What is the formula about? Anyways, his goal is to reach in 15 years time because he wants to retire at the age of 45 to 50. Do you really want to retire? But anyways, that's a choice. Yeah, so he's wondering, can we achieve that? Stay tuned to find out whether this person can actually reach financial independence. Before I actually start dissecting these numbers and calculating all this formula stuff, I think first of all, even though this person mentioned that his emergency funds as well as insurance is covered, I still think it's important to take note that this amount that he saved aside, over time, it should increase as well. Along the way, as you progress in your life, there's probably some additional responsibilities or certain commitments that you have in place. So it means to say you need to buffer that in so you have sufficient amount of cash or like reserves for those things to happen. Let's say, touch wood, you cannot work or you're down with something, right? Just FYI. But assuming that is covered, we'll just focus on his current savings. How do we use it? How do we grow it? Or how do we manage it such a way that he can reach financial independence? Coming back to the first part, financial independence. What is it about? Basically, it means to say whatever monthly expenses you have, it should be able to be covered by some passive income. Income that is not from your active job. For example, if let's say you go to work from 9 to 5, you earn a paycheck, that is your active income. So if you stop working, there's no more pay. But on the other end, passive income means that you can just lie at home, you can do nothing, the money still comes in. And how do we do so? Later on, I will share a few of these investment tools or vehicles that allows you to get passive income. Alright, this person's monthly income is, take-home pay is 3.5k. He has an excess saving of 2k. So that means to say his monthly expenses is 1.5k and his current capital, I'm just assuming that he's have that 200k of investment portfolio and we just take that as his base. So end of the day, my mission is to find out whether and how can he build a 1.5k of monthly passive income, or in other words, it's a $18,000 annual passive income. The first part of it is really not to just go straight into finding out what to invest, but understanding yourself better. And that's where the education comes in, the awareness comes in. If you have no idea what you want, what you need, as well as your personal risk profile, I think that is a very risky thing to do, right? Because imagine you don't feel comfortable losing just even 1% and asking you to put the money inside and you see a portfolio drop 2%, right? Then you will feel very devastated. Your emotional stability is not there. And this actually is not ideal. So when it comes to that, the awareness part is finding out what are the things that give you passive income. If you don't already know, the next portion, I'll be sharing with you the vehicles available. Secondly, you need to find out what kind of percentage returns are you looking at in terms of your passive income. And because every percentage counts. Thirdly, you have to find out the vehicle's risk profile or your risk tolerance as well. The different vehicles like stocks, ETF, bonds, REITs, whatever not, all of these have different risk profile and different kind of volatility, right? If you're somebody who cannot sit roller coaster, high chance is that your portfolio cannot sit roller coaster as well. So you might want to consider those things with lower volatility or lower price movements, right? That might ease your emotion stability. All right. And then other things that you have to take note is like the effort you need to monitor your portfolio, right? So for example, for now, I'm mainly doing stock investing, and that means to say whatever companies I pick, I monitor them on a more frequent basis as compared to, let's say, my friend who does like dollar cost averaging on ETFs, right? Because dollar cost averaging is one of the ways that we advocate for average people out there to start their investing journey, because end of the day, it's a proven method that when you consistently pump in money and with a long-term view, a long-term horizon, usually the market will go up in long durations. So what that means is to say that if you consistently pump in money over time, it should grow and grow and grow in the next 10, 15, 20, and as long as possible. So once you know about yourself, the amount of commitment you want to put in to monitor your portfolio and whatnot, then it comes to the next part where we choose our vehicles. End of the day, not just for this person, but for me as well as you who is watching this video right now, I think end of the day, we want to generate passive income, right? So firstly, we need to find tools that can generate passive income. And these are the tools that are giving you dividends, distribution, or rental. For example, you rent out your house, right? So these are all passive income that doesn't really require you to put in a lot of effort for the money to come in. So some of the examples here I'm showing is more of the liquid ones. So I don't consider putting in property inside, because first of all, the capital size is a lot and you like locked in, your money is there, right? And yeah, if I may, right, I will start with something that is more liquid, that you can do a lot of quick transactions in the market. And these are your stocks, your ETFs, some of these funds, as well as REITs, right, that is publicly available. As well as the other vehicles that are generating you passive income are the done-for-you solutions by financial institutions or even by different private equity funds or bonds that is trying to raise money. All right, let's not go there, but let's focus on the first few. So once we have identified the tools that's available or out there that can generate you passive income, then it comes to the next part, finding out what kind of returns are you expecting or do you want to have, right? I usually go about this comparison. If there is an investment or if I have to put my money somewhere, where should I put it? A risk-free or a riskier investment vehicle? For the risk-free ones, I'm referring to your fixed deposit, your Singapore savings bonds, or money market funds. Those are the more risk-free, and of course, let's not forget like CPF. But in this case, I'm not going to consider this CPF or your Central Provident Fund. It's because this person wants to retire at age of 45, right? And for you to draw income from your CPF, you have to reach your retirement age, which is, I think, another 20 years. So let's not consider CPF. But out of this risk-free or the lower risk products, which one makes sense, right? And then comparing with a riskier investment such as your dividend stocks or dividend ETFs, your REITs, and comparing in terms of the returns you're getting for the risk that you're putting, right? So some will compare with CPF 2.5% as a basis of risk-free, and whatever amount I'm getting out of a riskier investments, it should be more than your CPF 2.5 to 4% of interest rates. So if it's not, must just put inside your CPF. Okay. Once you have a kind of think through like what is the ideal returns, for me, for this example, I'm just going to use a 4 to 5% kind of range for a return. The dividend yield, meaning the returns or the percentage you get every year out of 100, is actually between 4 to 5. So for every $100 you invest in, you will get around $4 to $5 every single year. So imagine that is on the average. So let's say if 4 to 5% is not something that you are comfortable with, you feel like, hey, I would look for 6%, 10%. Yes, you can do that, but I just want to caution you. How do you actually calculate your returns or your dividend yields? Is basically taking the dividends divided by the share price. And because these are all publicly liquid products or vehicles out there, their share price is on the move. It's always constantly moving, right? The dividend is locked in place for, let's say, assume that last year's dividends and this year's dividends is the same amount. A lot of assumptions here, but assuming the dividends that's being given out for last year and this year is the same, the share price matters. So if let's say right now the company is giving me $4 of dividends out of $100 of share price, then I'm getting a 4% dividend yield. But now, for example, with the same $4 of dividend, the share price now is $50. Right? That means to say my dividend yield has went up to 8%. So with that, if you want something that is of a higher dividend yield, then you have to wait for opportunity to arise for liquid products. And usually the opportunity for you to actually scoop up this high dividend yields is not often. So you really have to time and monitor, and which comes back to again to the effort needed to monitor your portfolio. So in this example, I'm just going to use that assume that this person is going to invest his money after 15 years of growing it into a portfolio or into asset classes that generates around 4 to 5%. Since I'm going to be conservative, I'm just going to go with 4% of dividends that's going to be given out every single year. Now, we have to understand that education is important, awareness is important about yourself, about the investment products that you're going to consider investing in. The next part would then be finding out how much I need to grow my portfolio before I'm getting this 4%. And this is important because a lot of time people feel that, oh, if the dividend is coming into my pocket right now, then I'm feeling very safe. But what does that 4% do if, let's say, your portfolio is only $100? That 4% is $4. Does it make a lot of difference? If it doesn't, personally feels that a portfolio of a smaller size, let's say it doesn't reach a big size of a few $100,000. So for somebody with a small portfolio, even like when you're starting out 100, 200 to 5K, 10K, this portfolio size is considered small. And we need to grow it to a big amount of a few hundred thousands before the dividend yield makes sense. So for the next 15 years, the priority is not to find 4% dividend yield companies to invest in, but to grow at a faster rate, grow the portfolio to something of a bigger size first before we go into finding a 4% passive income generator. With that in mind, we need to grow this portfolio to this size. And what is this size? Basically, I'm just going to backtrack using the current passive income that is needed for his financial independence. Remember, I said that financial independence is passive income equals to expenses. And in this example, his expenses is 1.5K per month. So with that in mind, 1.5K of passive income and getting a 4% of annual returns, we need $450,000 of capital for this to make sense, hypothetically. How do I get this $450,000? Basically, I'm just getting the 1.5K of expenses that I need to match out my passive income, multiplied by a year's worth, so times 12. And this annual passive income that I need, I will divide by 4%. And this will give me the capital that is needed for me to get 1.5K monthly passive income if I divide out by 12. All right. So with that in mind, we need to reach a goal of 450K. And right now, good thing that he's not starting from scratch. He has a big base of 200K to begin with. That is his current assets that he has, his cash or his investment portfolio. And let's say I convert it into cash. What it means to say is that we have a shortfall, or in other words, a lack of $250,000. So with that in mind, this person's goal is actually to see whether for the next 15 years, can he save or invest his portfolio such a way that he can grow another additional $250,000. All right, do remember to subscribe as well as follow for more as I go through more of this kind of examples and exercise so that I can help you to get ready to prepare for your own retirement as well. Okay, so coming back, we have a 250K of shortfall, and in the next 15 years, is this enough? All right, so there are a few methods to get this 250,000. Based on his current situation, he can save whatever that he has, which is the 2K per month, or he can reduce his expenses and save more to see in 15 years, can he make it? And last but not least, to invest in a hypothetical situation where in the next 15 years, it can go at a certain rate. Let's go with the first one where he actually just saved $2,000 of excess money every single month for the next 15 years. When you calculate it, simply put $2,000 times 12 times 15, that will give you a whooping number of $360,000. Yay, we did it! Right, so actually, if you just save for the next 15 years $2,000 a month, he can reach a portfolio size of more than 450K, which covers the 1.5k of monthly expenses. And there you go. For the next 15 years, he is able to reach financial independence. But let's find out how his portfolio can actually grow if he don't just save it in the bank. He actually used that $2,000 of excess cash to invest. He mentioned that he's investing in stocks, ETFs, even in bonds. I just assume and average it out and give a conservative number, which is like a 6% annual growth rate. So it means to say every single year, the portfolio, whatever money he put in, is actually growing at 6%. If right now it's $100, it will be $106 for the next year. And for the next year, you just multiply by 1.06. I calculated, and based on this chart that I've plotted out, after 15 years, or 180 months to be exact, and consistently pumping $2,000 into this fund, into his portfolio, and growing it from 200k, he is able to grow to a portfolio size of more than $1 million. Isn't that amazing? That is the power of compound. You snowball your savings and they continue to grow and grow. And over time, your 200k with a consistent $2,000 a month of savings will reach $1 million. And this is one way you can reach your financial goal of $1 million. If you don't know how to calculate what I just did there is a simple tool that we have created under our GoodWhale Buddy to calculate your own results over time, because if you can't save $2,000 and use it for investing, you might want to adjust the numbers. And how do you adjust it? One of the functions inside GoodWhale Buddy is there is this thing called the money calculator. And of course, since we are trying to grow our money, I'm just going to click on it. And let's say, based on the earlier example, that this person has $200,000 and every month he can add in $2,000. What this means is that every single year, this person is actually investing or saving at least $24,000. Okay, and since this person's goal is to reach a financial state where he is well-to-do to get passive income in the next 15 years, how fast is he growing his portfolio? As I mentioned, we are just using a ballpark number of 6% on the conservative side, assuming we average out the growth rates or the returns that he's getting every single year for the next 15 years. I'm just going to click on the estimate. As you can see, based on this calculation, it's on the compounding on the annual basis. The previous one I'm doing on a monthly basis. But you can get the gist idea that this person can have a $1 million portfolio. So if you, let's say you can't save $2,000, how about $500 every single month? If you can do that, starting with your whatever amount, let's say you only starting out with $10,000, or even you started out with no capital to begin with, it's perfectly fine. Just with whatever goals you have, maybe instead of 15 years, you're still young, or you're okay to work for another few more years, and you just want to grow your portfolio. Same thing with the 6% of more conservative growth rate. Let's estimate to see what's the portfolio, right? As you can see, for somebody who doesn't have anything to start with, no capital to begin with, just by saving and investing $500 every single month, after 20 years, you are seeing your portfolio grow to $220,000 over dollars. So I think this is hopefully encouraging for you to start saving as well as using excess cash to invest. Once we have grown our portfolio from a $200,000 to a $1 million portfolio, what kind of passive income are we expecting to look at? Assuming we are getting a 4% dividend yield or a 4% returns every single year, right? So with $1 million, it means to say every year, this person is likely expecting over $43,000 of passive income. And that translates to around 3.5k of passive income every single month. Earlier on, his expectation is to meet the expenses of 1.5k, right? So clearly you can see that 3.5k minus 1.5k, he has an additional 2k which he can use to invest or use to grow his portfolio again. But coming back, I didn't share with you, which is on inflation, the cost of living. Definitely the cost of living right now is 1.5k. For the next 15 years, I doubt it will be the same or it will be stagnant. In fact, I am very confident that 15 years later, it will go up. But how much is it actually? Over here, I'm just using some calculation based on the long-term inflation rate of Singapore to be around 3 to 4%. And I will use the higher limit, 4%, to do this calculation because I just want to be more careful. By the end of the 15 years, this 1.5k of expenses, how much will it be? It turns out with a 4% inflation every single year, the expenses based on his consistent lifestyle, nothing changed besides the inflation, right? Is that his cost of living actually grew to close to 2.6. With that in mind, it is still much lower than the passive income we said earlier of 3.5k. So what I can conclude is that based on what this person is doing right now with his current assets and his portfolio, assuming one more thing, which I didn't mention, assuming that his portfolio, his investing portfolio of that 200k is flat. It doesn't go up, it doesn't go down. Then he is on a well-to-do. Obviously, if the investment portfolio, that 200k that he has already invested, continues to go up for the next 15 years, then of course his passive income by then will be much bigger. This goes to show that with consistent effort as well as understanding your lifestyle habits, you too can reach your financial goals as well. So if you're somebody who's just starting out, or you finally realize that financial literacy of managing your money is very important, definitely you should check out this guide by the Monetary Authority of Singapore. And they actually created this basic financial guide for you to have a guideline. For example, from emergency funds to protection to investment as well as legacy planning. All of these things are things that we as individuals should consider, and they've included the rule of thumb and what to do, for example, if for different key needs. Right? So do check it out. And of course, if you want something that's personal, you want someone to dissect and find out whether you can reach your certain financial goals, do remember that you can always comment inside this YouTube video so that I can refer, just like how I'm doing this video as well, and I will do one specifically for your example, and I will share it in our YouTube channel. So just to conclude, this person's current situation, he's well-to-do because he has already settled a few things. Firstly, the emergency funds as well as the insurance is covered. He has already started investing since a much earlier age, and his portfolio size is quite decent. And fourthly, this person have a very good and very high savings rate, earning 3.5k but can save $2,000, and these are money that you can use it to grow. Right? So if you're somebody who is struggling between managing your expenses because you don't know how much you can save, I highly suggest you to use this free tool that we have created. It's called GoodWhale Buddy. And let me just share with you what this is about. So GoodWhale Buddy, just imagine this is your friend that helps you to track your money and helps you with your money concerns. It's actually found in the places that you're spending your time on the more social side of things, which are your messaging tools, like your WhatsApp, your Telegram, or even our friends that use Line. These are where you can actually start using GoodWhale Buddy for free, and you can start interacting it just like how you will start clocking expenses. So gone are the days where you use Excel to clock your expenses, or even those money-making apps that, end of the day, I stopped using them after trying out for 5 to 6 different types because there's so many things to fill just for one entry. Can you imagine? One entry, I need to key the date, the item's name, the category, the amount, and if there's any other information I want to put in, like the receipts, just for proof. These are going to take a lot of time, and just on one entry. Imagine one day, there's definitely at least 3 to 4 transactions that's happening. And even if you're very diligent, this will still be a hassle to you. And if you don't have the commitment to build up this habit, that's why right now, you're not actually tracking expenses. So we are trying to break this bad habit or this lack of understanding your actual spendings. That's why with GoodWhale Buddy, you can track your expenses easily. You can either chat just like how you chat with me or your friends, just with a one-liner of the item that you just spent on. For example, noodles, $5, right? Buddy is actually able to identify this is a food category, the amount that it is, and it will clock in the date as accordingly. If you're not somebody that likes to type, who doesn't like to type, right? Unless you like to call. But anyways, if let's say chatting is not the means that you like to go about chatting with your friend, how about snapping a photo of your receipt or even the food items and clocking in these expenses? Buddy is also able to translate whatever picture that you have into expense item as well. Let's say you still don't like to type, you don't like to take pictures of the receipt, it's too much of a hassle. How about try using the voice function of it? Same thing, just like a one-liner, bak chor mee or laksa for $5, right? You can just clock that in, and it can even understand local context or the different cultural food or items in place. So with that, you can actually use these 3 different functions to clock in your individual expenses. Okay, I understand clocking individual expenses can still be a chore, right? But what about this? Your bank as well as your credit card usually will give you a monthly statement of all the spendings that you have. Of course, make sure that there's no suspicious transactions first. And after that, take a screenshot of the whole bank or credit card statement and just send it to GoodWhale Buddy, right? So GoodWhale Buddy is now able to itemize each row based on the date, the amount, as well as the category for you. And you can do this once every single month. How cool is that? So that's why I'm very excited to share about this free tool, GoodWhale Buddy, that is available. If you want to start using it, click in the description box below under GoodWhale Buddy, this is where you can start tracking your expenses and start understanding how much you're spending on. Buddy will also help you to give you some summaries in terms of your weekly as well as your monthly expenses, and this would definitely be beneficial for you to have a clearer understanding of your true monthly expenses and not just a ballpark number. Other than that, if you're not comfortable talking to a real person or it's a bit sensitive to talk about money, how about chatting with Buddy about your money issues or your concerns, and then Buddy can actually converse with you just like a friend would. So inside Buddy, there's also an interface for you to track your expenses, understanding your insights of your spendings. There's a graph for you to refer to. And at the same time, I think one thing that a lot of people don't do and you should do is to set your goals, your life goals. For example, for me, I want to set aside money for my emergency funds, my children's education fund, as well as like holiday trips or even like the next projects like buying a car, which I don't encourage in Singapore. But anyways, whatever you have, any financial goals that you want to reach, put inside there and commit to it. And this allows you to have an overview of your progress. All right. So coming back, we have talked about a few things, and this is just the first video I'm doing for this Reddit question answering kind of videos. If you like it, do remember to subscribe as well as follow for more, because I will be doing more of this kind. And again, if you're somebody who needs some assistance or second opinion on how you should look at your money, feel free to comment your current situation or the things, the goals that you want to reach, and let's do it together. Let's find out how can we help you to reach your financial goals or your retirement as well. All right. So my name is Joshua. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.